Hey, what are you doing?
All right. Well, we're going live. So we are live with the Contractor Coach Pro, Dan Wallrack from Build Strong Exteriors, Minnesota, Wisconsin. So I kind of didn't really realize what a bombshell that was kind of going to be when I dropped it yesterday. We had this conversation with Dan and with Dashaun, and we're comparing what passion that they both have for the industry. But for Dan to have an $18 million year, and I want to start by saying, for all those people that came in saying, no, the math doesn't work. You would never be able to do that. Certainly not with residential. 595 homes, different homeowners in the same year, $18 million. It is impossible. And I agree. The math doesn't work. But I'm also going to say that too many times we go into this because we already know the process. We know storm restoration. We know production. We know how this is done. And you can't do 18 million, certainly not one person in 1 year. And you're correct, unless you know that you have put yourself in a box already, and unless you escape your box and start saying there's other ways to do things that you may not have thought of before. So a lot of times people say that the ABCs of sales is always be closing. You have the shirt to show that, master closer. But I actually made a meme about this a couple of months ago. I always like the ABCs of sales to always be creating. And there's not two people on the planet that do more creating than Jim Johnson and Dan. So why don't you tell a little bit about yourself and especially your history, and then your history with Jim as well.
Sure, would love to. I'm going into my 25th year in the industry. Some people call this a dinosaur. I guess I'm a dinosaur in this industry. I started way back when we had to hand draw everything, diagram. There wasn't Eagle View. There wasn't Xactimate, none of that fun stuff to play around with to make the job easier. I started way back when with my mentor, Jimmy Johnson, right on. I don't know if you can see him on here, but with Jim pretty much taught me everything I need to know back when I started. 25 years ago, Jim. I think that's what it was. I never knew that I would get to the point I am right now, but I do know that I'm the type of person that I like to challenge myself, and I knew I'd be good. You have to have an ego in this business. If you don't, it might not be the best business for you because you have to have a little bit of an ego to be in that 1%. So a little bit of background myself. I've been doing this for 25 years. I was an owner of a company for 13 years. I got back out of that because I wanted to get rid of the stress. I want to coach my kids. I want to be with my family. And I'm the 8th grade head football coach in my community I live in. And so I'm just doing sales rep, man. I'm sales rep for Build Strong Exteriors, fabulous company run by multiple owners. My managing director is Tony Flatham. Got a great general manager in Reed Asher. Great team to work with. We've got fabulous people there, 20 plus reps. I love it. It's a family, it's a community. And I love doing what I'm doing, and I love this job. So,
Jim, tell us a little bit about your history with Dan.
Oh boy. Dan, the man. The thing I noticed about Dan the very first time I ever met him was actually on a basketball court. He was a football player at UWRF, University of Wisconsin River Falls, and he showed up to play some basketball, and he was awful at it. And he couldn't dribble a basketball, couldn't shoot a basketball, anything like that. I'm like, all right, dude, just go grab the basketball when somebody else shoots it and pass it to me. Do that. And he started out doing that. Best rebounder you will ever find on a basketball court. He's an absolute machine, and that's just how he is about what he does. If he gets into something, he's going to be in it 100% all the time, like just intensity about it. The basketball thing got better and better and better. He showed up every day, put in extra time off the court to get better, and became really a really good basketball player. He did the same thing. I'm like, hey, Dan, why don't you come over here and come work for my company? Like, I think you'd be really good. Like, you're outgoing, you're gregarious, you have this drive and all that other good stuff. And he turned me down. He's like, no, I'm going to be a PE coach. That's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a PE coach, and I'm going to deliver pizzas over the summer. That's what I'm going to do. I'm like, dude, you can make as much delivering pizzas in a week that you would in the whole summer. It's like, no, it sounds too good to be true. He kind of gave me the whole BS thing. He's always shaking his head because he knows that's what happened. But I'm persistent too, and I didn't give up. And I worked him the whole year and finally said, dude, you're coming with. Like, come on, let's go do this thing. And he has an absolute gift for it. Most people can't do what Dan does. It's just the reality of it. He's got a motor unlike anybody I've ever seen. Sun up to sundown, go after it, go hard, Saturdays, Sundays. It doesn't matter. He's going to learn the thing and learn the thing well. And he's also going to build some pretty amazing relationships that facilitate why he was able to do the numbers he did this year. But a lot of people haven't heard yet is, wasn't all that long ago, a couple of years ago, he did 6.3 million. So it's not like it's unusual, and he's consistently. Yeah, so he's had some really good years besides this one, and it's all because of what he's done. I'll let him tell that story on how he's done it. But that's what I'm looking for in a rep. Whenever I'm out there looking for somebody as a rep, I want somebody hungry, somebody that's a sponge for information, somebody that has a motor that doesn't quit because they see the opportunity in it that it can literally change their life. So last little piece on this, it was one of the things that I was most happy about whenever we were running our company was that we gave guys different ways to do things. Now, some guys knocked doors, some guys sent letters, some guys built networks, some guys did all-star marketing. Like, we had a million different ways that a guy could not only sell a lot, but do it in a way that fit his personality and skill set. And Dan kind of latched onto one of those. I'm sure he's going to tell everybody about that story. I wish I could hang out with you guys longer, but my wife is like, if you guys look around, I'm at IKEA right now. These guys went, you should hop on real quick. And so I wanted to hop on and say, hey, this is real. Dan had help. You better give credit where credit's due.
Oh, I will.
But he did sell all those people, and he did insure them from cradle to grave that they were taken care of, because there's a reason he has to, because of those relationships that he built that he doesn't want to damage. Dan, I won't spoil the rest of the story. Mike, I'm just angry at you for getting him on before I could. I thought he was still on vacation. So
end of February, I'm hooking you up. I'll be at that top rep, baby.
Yeah, come to top rep, man. And want to have you talk a little bit to these guys about what it takes. So
I would
cool
love
deal.
To. I would love to. All right, brother. You take it easy. Thanks you again.
All right. Hey, thanks for inviting me, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good show.
Well, too, brother.
Yeah, so he mentioned so many things, and I knew this about you too. I've known you for 10 years. We've worked some claims together. We've worked some jobs together. But it still takes more than hustle. It takes more than a big motor. And, you know, Derek Lindsay, I appreciate so much. He's been blowing up my phone because the math doesn't work. But I do want to start it with this question from Tony Wells, because 18 million and you're still active in kids sports, but that's really the start of this. Like,
it is.
You don't do this by knocking doors. So let me ask you, because I know you've knocked a lot of doors in your career. How many doors did you knock of part of that 18 million?
You will not believe this, and I'm at a door-to-door conference. I have not knocked a door in 13 years. It's just how it is. I haven't knocked a door in 13 years. I would say 98% of my jobs are all referral based. They're all people calling me. I don't cold call. I don't do lead runs. I don't do knocking doors. I don't do any of that.
So this is why this is so hard to replicate. I've already had a couple of conversations with people as well, because you have a situation where you have a seriously high achiever. You've had well over $6 million in a year outside of your market.
Yeah.
You've had a motor that doesn't work. You've had good trainers, good mentors. You're a student of your game. You know the codes, the tech bulletins, you know the industry. You know having good relationships with adjusters when you're on the roof. Tell me about the kids' sports and how this came about in your community, and how you've been active in your community,
exactly,
and how that's helped your business.
Well, a lot of it was a perfect situation. We moved into our house in our community in Hudson, Wisconsin, and I've been there for the last 13 years. My kids grow up there. They're a member of the sports. Well, I knew in this business that the way to prosper in this business is you need to network yourself. You need to let people know who you are. All right, that's how you do this. And there wasn't a storm in Hudson, but some things I did. I'm the 8th grade head football coach. I run the youth football booster program. I'm a traveling head basketball coach, traveling baseball coach. I help as much as I can in the community to get my name out. I'm on the parent board at the middle school, which again helps out. In being a parent board, there's multiple email outlets that work. In being on the boosters, there's multiple email outlets that work. There's so many different variables that it was just like a perfect storm where you put all those together, then we get that storm, and then that storm hit, and it was not 37 seconds later, my first phone rang, and from that point on for 2.5, 3 months, I literally had 40 voicemails a day every single day.
Yeah, it's insane. So do you think you'll ever do 18 million again?
I would say probably not. And the reason that is because it was a perfect situation where everything came together. 6-7 million for sure, 100%. I'll do 6 million next year, no problem. But 18 million, I've been in this for 25 years. To me, that's very, very difficult to do. However, it can be done. I mean, I did it. 595, I showed you the AccuLinks.
Yeah.
That's $30,000 per job. That's rolling through AccuLinks. So, I mean, put the numbers together. What is 30,595 jobs?
Yeah. So keep bringing in the questions. I do appreciate it. Derek, you're absolutely right. Like, the math is the math, right? You just don't have enough time. Like, if you were to try to do 595 jobs, we all know, we've been in this business forever. You would knock how many doors to get 600 jobs to go?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know that answer.
You would be in the multiple thousands.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you door knock this many you get inspections, this many are claimed, this many go to all the way, this many go to a contract. And if you're trying to do 600, you're talking about probably tens of thousands, and it just doesn't work. So you've shown me a couple of pictures, and I want to go to this one. And by the way, I think you must have missed my Tony, love you guys, but you got to watch my earlier live, because there is nothing to love about this stash. This was a complete joke. So I was supposed to be a youth pastor back in the day. You could talk about what you wanted to be a coach. I was supposed to be a youth pastor, and now here I am with a pink shirt and a mustache, talking to somebody who just sold $18 million a year. But there is nothing to love about this stash. So you are not my friend anymore. I'm sorry. I used to like you. So tell me, you showed me a couple of pictures, because this is how, I don't know what else to talk about it, but it goes viral, where suddenly you're getting contracts by the bundle. What did that look like for you?
Well, little plug out there. I mean, this wasn't just a me situation, okay? My family was all in. My wife, she scheduled for me. People would call 40 times a day. I'd get home at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I didn't have time to call back 40 voicemails. It was impossible. My wife would pick up my phone, climb into my voicemail, and she would contact and set up appointments. It got to the point where there wasn't enough times in the day to set up the appointment, where now we were calling appointments by the street. So we were having 10 people on a street would meet at one place at one location, and I would sign 10 contracts up in 15 minutes. And then I would just meet the adjusters. Guys, I do the inspections, I did the adjuster appointments, I did the color meetings, and then I put the orders in. From that point on, it went to production, and yes, we built it. I was building 10, 15 jobs a day. Can I manage 10, 15 jobs and be at those job sites all day, every day? Impossible. Nobody can do that if you're doing that numbers. However, everything before that, that was all me and my family. And I brought on a lady a month into the situation. Her name's Sarah. She did a fabulous job. A little plug for her. I needed somebody to be able to contact these homeowners if they called and had questions and I was on a roof. She would help me out so much, knew nothing about the business. She learned basically on the fly, and she was literally my right-hand phone caller. I mean, she would sit there and answer phone calls that people would have, because I'm on a roof. I can't talk to an adjuster at the moment. She would set up the adjuster appointment. And it was, I mean, if you saw it, I was doing color meetings at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning with homeowners just to get it set up, to try to make time in a day. And then the days I would have baseball games, I'd have to coach. I would have that hour and a half window where I'd have my phone at third base coach. People would call, and I'd try to text them back as I'm third base coach and trying to get it scheduled. It was an unbelievable year. It was one of those years where, you know, to be honest with you, I was looking forward to winter, so my phone would slow down. It's still going crazy. Mike's right here, and he's seen my phone going nuts.
It's pretty crazy. So, and I appreciate you talking through this. We have had a few questions about how far into the process do you go? How much are you responsible for? And then how do you interact with your customers through production and that kind of stuff? And so I appreciate you doing that. I do want to touch base though on some of these, like when you showed me a couple of these pictures of these community signings. Talking a little bit about how do you get a neighbor to get all of his neighbors together, a friend getting his neighbors together.
Well, it's about networking and using community involvement. So, for example, the one picture I showed you for a little bit ago, it was a police officer, sergeant in the Hudson community. He knew me because we donated. I did volunteer security down at the Booster Days, and we donated the funds for that to put life vests for the K9 unit of the Hudson Police Department. In doing that, I've got a good relationship with the Hudson Police Department. I was doing the sergeants, and he's like, hey, my neighbor, and then I finally said, hey, you know what? Instead of me going to all these houses, why don't I set an appointment with you at 3 p.m.? You get your 10 neighbors, bring them to your house at 10 p.m. We'll sit on your front porch, and we'll do a contract signing right there and get you ready to go. And so that's what we did. I did that multiple times where I would go into a house at 3 o'clock p.m., and I would have 10 contracts signed in 15 minutes. And I would just basically give each one of them a pen and have them fill their own contract out, have them sign their own thing. And then I would only have to do the spiel one time. And then, boom, we're ready to roll. And then, I would do the same situation with adjusters. I would schedule adjusters and try to do 8 adjusters in one cul-de-sac and just get them done.
Yeah, that's insane. There's some people that that's such a great story. So how much of the 18 million has been collected and closed out so far?
So far. Paychecks have been pretty well. I would say closed out. I see that's into collections. So
that's a different one.
I don't know that exact answer. I know that there's a lot. I've been capping out a lot every week. So I mean, I don't know that exact.
The point is, we are still in Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Yes.
We have a very short build season. We had an early snow, so it kind of shut things down early.
It's 15 degrees outside.
So there's a lot of work yet to do.
I've mostly siding. I would say probably 90% of our roofs are completed.
Okay.
Of mine. I would say I got about maybe 60 roofs left to go for in the spring. And I would say I got about 160 some siding jobs ready to go. But I've got 68 appointments rearing to go right when the foot of snow flies off the roof. I'm ready to go again. So
and then I think you
said, what's up, brother?
I think you said that your largest single family job was about 300,000. You said?
Yeah, like my largest. I would say I've done less than 5 jobs that were multifamily. Like condos, and I think my largest was 1.2. So I would say of all my multifamilies, condos or apartments, I probably got 5 or 6 of those, equaling probably about 2.5, 3 million of the 18 million.
Okay.
So literally 15 million of it is just straight up single family, $30,000 jobs.
Yeah. So my numbers were off. I said 99% was residential. It's
a little bit less.
90, 95, something. All right. So you met the adjuster, color picked, and wrote up orders for 10 deals a day, every day, 7 days a week.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, you do have to have a motive for this. But yeah,
I was burnt out, man. Anybody that's been in this business long enough knows that you do that, you get burnt out, and there's highs and lows to this business, and it's like riding a roller coaster. And this year was one of those years where literally you climb the mountain, and I didn't have a chance to get a low moment. I mean, it was, if you came down, you're disappointing and you're upsetting a lot of people in the community, which I've built up so strong that I didn't have a chance to disappoint my community. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because everybody knows me in the community. So
yeah. So you touched on this a little bit in the beginning, but you do not currently own the company or a sales guy. What other reps do there with this model? So tell me a little bit more about your history of again why you're not an owner, your passion for being a salesperson, and then how about the rest of your team there at Build Strong?
Sure. A little bit about Build Strong. Okay, so and about myself. I was a sales rep when I started off, and then I went to a team manager for CRSI a long time ago company. I went in and hey, I can do this. I'm just as good as the other people at this. I can do this. So I went into owning my own company. I owned my company for 13 years, and I traveled all around Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, basically chasing storms. That's what I did. I was a storm chaser way back. Those guys that have dinosaurs understand what I mean by chasing storms. We did that for 13 years. It got to the point now where we started having children, my wife and I promised my wife that once we had children, I would be there. I would be that dad with the kids, and I would be there for my kids' things. And I had to make that commitment that no, I can't do it owning a company running around. I can't do that. So what I decided to do is I said, you know what, it's time. I want to go be just a sales rep. I want to be a sales rep. That's what I wanted to do. You know, could I be a manager somewhere? I'm sure. Could I be an owner of another company? I'm sure. I'm still a licensed general contractor. But the point of the matter is I love doing what I'm doing. I love helping the homeowners out, and I have a passion for it. And people that have a passion for something, they want to be the best at it. And that's what I strive to be. I strive to be not only the best in my company, not only the best in the state, I want to be one of the best in the nation. And in doing that, that means I've got to give 110%. And my family's got to give 110%, and they're with me all the way through. So,
yeah. So what would you say your approval percentage per claim from insurance was?
95%.
Yeah. And that's all part of this, right? Because again, you had a perfect storm. And I got to say that literally. You kind of had a perfect storm. This is one of the things that impacted me as soon as I heard this and started digging into it a little bit, because I was a skeptic. I'm like, okay, yeah, because I've been in this long enough, and especially as a sales rep, but somebody tells me that they're doing 18 million. My first thing is say, okay, so it's about half that and then a third of that. So you did about 2.5 or 3 million. Great season. But then I kept talking to you and you were telling me how you did it. And all of these things that I think people forget is that how you establish yourself in the community. You've had a home life, a family life, you're connected with your neighbors. So when typically we go to these DDD conferences, it's about the hustle, it's storm chasing work. But when you get to a certain point, when you've put all that work in for 12 years in your case, suddenly that starts to shift and work starts coming to you.
Exactly.
And now you've lived in your community for 13 years. You're donating, you're volunteering, people actually like you.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Unbelievably so, right? And so suddenly you're sitting there and $18 million is coming to you.
Yeah, that's the craziest part. And if there's something I would love to talk to a lot of different companies and love to spill my beans, because I'll tell you what, 25 years of doing this business, there's so much I could share and so much networking ideas I could give you and for your crew. I mean, if you can find, which is great at Build Strong, is we've got a crew of 20 plus reps, and the training that we do at that office is unbelievable. We've got Tony and Reed and Michelle and Deb and our leadership group, Jackie. I don't even have words for it. There's so many things that new sales reps need to learn. They need to learn that you need to go out there. You need to put yourself out there. You're not selling the company. You're selling yourself to these people. It's so important. I live by my 5 C's that I developed here years ago. And, you know, if somebody ever wants to know that, just shoot me up. I'll send you my 5 C's. It's the most important thing in the world. You have to create opportunities out there. Opportunities aren't going to come by knocking a door every single day and just keep knock. That's what you do to start off. But you still need to network yourself. You need to go to agents. You need to go to adjusters. You need to go to your community. You need to do, B&Is. You need to do things like that to get your name out there, because once your name is out there, that perfect storm will come. Some point it will come. And if your name is out there, you're not out there pounding and trying to get it. It's coming to you.
Yeah.
You know, my Facebook Messenger, there was one point in my Facebook Messenger on a June after the storm, I had 78 messages of people saying, come to my house. And I said, hey, I will. I said, I'm going to do it as best I can. Let me plug you in. I got 30 minutes. Let's get this thing rolling. You know, I'm pre-selling the contracts before I'm even getting to the house. I'm filling the contracts out before I'm even at the house, where all they have to do is sign and I'm out. I've signed contracts in less than 50 seconds. I mean, I walked up to the door. I'm like, hey, here I am. All right, where do I sign? Let's go. I'll call you with the claim.
Yeah.
You know?
So let's go into this a little bit, because again, we're going to keep going back, and I'm going to keep, it's going to be a broken record, but I'm going to keep saying this. This was a perfect storm. It was a devastating hail. You didn't have a whole lot of denials. You didn't have a whole lot of inspections, that kind of stuff on this one. And it was right in your backyard. So it was all of your friends and all of your network. So how did you handle, or how do you handle your partial approvals and re-inspections?
Well, first and foremost is anybody that knows me, I'm getting that thing approved on the roof. The re-inspections aren't going to happen. I make sure I get that thing approved on the roof. If I haven't been there and they've come out and denied a claim, Well, yes, then we do a reinspection. I'd call in the claim, would set up a reinspection process and so forth. Partial approvals, when you get to that point as a sales rep, you shouldn't have partial approvals on roof. You're getting that. If they're paying for a slope of that roof, if they're buying some hits on that roof, you're getting that roof. Siding, we all know ITELs. You have to do your ITELs. You have to do your, in Minnesota, there's a siding match. But those of you that know in Wisconsin, there isn't a siding match. It's a like kind of quality. So what that means is there are some that we have to do, half sides of sidings if they still find it, right? I mean, that's just the nature of the biz, right? But to answer that question, there's so much I can get in on that. I know we don't have 3 hours to do that. Let's answer as many questions as we can.
Yeah. So how many estimators are at Build Strong?
We have 20 plus sales reps. I was going to describe. So at Build Strong Exteriors, basically there's 5 or 6 teams. On each team, we have what is called a team lead. And then on that team lead, they have DIS, which is a damage inspection specialist, which their job is to go out and meet the adjusters. And then they have, what else we have? We have a CS that helps with the color meeting. So there's a lot of people to help. I'm a little bit different. I have my own team. My team is called Team Whiskey. And it's me on one team, and I do all of that combined. Because I'm a dinosaur. Like I said, I've been doing this. I'm still 1099. I've been doing this for 25 plus years. And Mike knows me so well. He knows I'm not a product of change. I don't like change.
Right.
So,
and I think you and I first met too, and I wanted to bring that up too for the partial approvals. And when we first started working together, we were doing some code compliance and on an issue that had a partial that really needed to be a full, and we handled most of it ourselves. Like we didn't. We had some help. We did discuss the claim a little bit with an attorney who didn't actually end up taking the case because I think we had it finished anyway before that. So we didn't need a public adjuster. We didn't need an attorney. But it did turn from about a 20 or 30 square to a 900 square. So he's very good at his craft. That's why I say again, when you have somebody that's been at this for so long, who's got all this hustle, that has the ability to take on, understand, knows the codes, knows the tech bulletins, knows the roofing assembly, and is able to do that. It does cut down on the time, but in this case, 2022, you just didn't have to do a whole lot of that, did you?
I didn't have to do a lot. There was a handfuls, but I didn't have to do a whole lot because I would have my scope sheets and everything done prior to, and I would have that handed over to the adjuster and say, hey, this is what myself and the homeowner went over on your property that we noticed was damaged. This is what we expect to be taken care of. I'd hand that to the adjuster, and I'm a licensed adjuster myself. I would hand that to him, and I would say, hey, this is what we're going to get taken care of. He'd grab that sheet, and I'd say, hey, listen, I'm not a big fan of supplementing, but, I will have to supplement if this isn't covered. And he would write my scope and write them right up there and get them taken care of.
Yeah. And Build Strong, I know they're growing quickly.
Fabulous company.
And so how fast? What are their like the last 3 years?
I think the last 3 years, I know that we went from a $20-30 million company, and this year we went over $62 million company just this year.
So think about that. He was almost a third of that came from you. So
there's some ballers there though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
They got some really good reps. And in doing this business, all those people that are posting on here, you guys know this. If you've been doing this a long time, to have a company where you've got, 10, 15 guys that are $1.5 million, $2 million, $2.5 million reps, that's very, very, very difficult to achieve in this business. And that's why I'm proud to be part of these guys, man. It's a great group of guys.
Yeah. So you're doing your own estimates?
Do my own estimates.
Okay. So I want to appreciate Dan for being here, for not giving out too much information and too many secret sauces.
Oh, I got a lot.
He does have a lot. Absolutely. So speaking of estimates, man, I'm telling you, think outside the box. 2023 is going to be the year of the lead. The storms were all over the place in Minnesota, Wisconsin, a lot in Florida. The rest of the country was a little bit light. Hook up with Roofo. Look at our Roof Quote Pro. We're going to be able to do those estimates for you and for the homeowner instantly on your website. They are your leads, your customers, your analytics. It all stays there. You're going to be starting to see more and more technologies emerge to be able to see hustlers like you become more and more
they're out there, man,
efficient at your job as well. So thank you, everybody. It's 30 minutes into this. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Certainly come back anytime.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, real quick, if anybody wants me to help them out, let me know, man. I got a messenger. I got Facebook. Look me up. Let me know. so many different things networking wise that I can help your company out with, just let me know, man. I'm here to help everybody out. I'm trying to get more dinosaurs like me out there. So
Thank you, Dan.
thank you.
All right, we'll see you.